Good. Hello, everyone. Well, that was a great start.
Jesus Christ. Okay. Let's try that again. No, I can keep it in.
No, I'm keeping that in.
Yeah.
I'm keeping my horrible.
Humbutter.
What's in this Pepsi? So, hello, people of the internet. Welcome to yet again another one of Aaron Evans' Theatre Talk. It's probably been forever since I've done one. Yes, it was like August. And I am very, very lazy, and I'm not going to apologise for that. So anyway, let's get right into the show.
Yeah, screw you, audience.
Yeah, screw you. Screw you for waiting.
Your fault for listening.
You did this to yourself.
So, I will introduce two guests. I have, to the right of me, a man who has previously done this podcast, and I have not put any pens near him this time because he clicked the whole fucking time with it.
Yeah.
And to my left, I just have a great cosplay for a Viking.
Oh, wait.
I was going to say...
Jorg!
who is currently helping out with the most recent ILT show and has done many, many different shows and musicals over the time. Ladies and gentlemen, Cody Muller and Sam Hoepner. Yeah, currently take off their shirts.
Look at that.
Oh,
You can shave that and make American.
Oh no. Oh god. Oh, kill it with fire.
man, this is going to be one of those podcasts again.
Why not?
Why not? It's that time of the year. So, may as well get straight into talking about things. I will start off with you, Sam.
Oh.
Yes, that is my favourite thing to do now, is the So, as I mentioned, very, very short and brief in the introduction, you are helping out with ILT's current production of Committed Quiche. Tell us about what Committed Quiche is.
Well, it's two one-act plays. The first one being Fully Committed, and the second one being 5 Lesbians Eating a Quiche. I'll start with Fully Committed is a one-man show, and it's absolutely insane. So it's one guy playing, I think we figured it out, I think it's 37 characters.
Jesus.
Yeah. Like all with different voices, all, with their own different mannerisms and this sort of thing. And it's, I won't try too hard to explain the show because I feel like if you try and explain it, it doesn't sound that interesting. But it's something that you've just got to come and see. You know, you've got to experience it to understand the majestic madness that is that show.
Actually, that's a great description of majestic madness. Yeah.
And then for I won't say for the main course, but as an appetizer and main course. But that's not really the way it is. It's more like a second helping. It's more like going up to the same. It's more like going back up to the buffet. You know, it's like you load your plate with everything the first time, and then you just cram it down your face, and then you're like, I could do that again.
Too real.
Then the second show is 5 Lesbians Eating a Quiche, which is set in the 1950s. What would you call it? They call it like a women's society, I suppose.
Yeah, I guess, yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense. Basically, there's the Susan B. Anthony Society for the Sisters of Gertrude Stein meet every year for an annual quiche breakfast, where everyone makes a quiche and everyone tries it and it's judged and all this sort of stuff. But at this particular quiche breakfast, a communist attack happens. This is set in the 1950s. So a communist attack occurs and an atomic bomb is dropped. And through all of the stress of said event, all of the sisters of Gertrude Stein come out as lesbians. And it is absolutely hilarious.
I've seen it twice. I friggin' love it every single time. It's so goddamn good.
I have yet to see it. I'm seeing it this weekend, which there are tickets still available, is there?
I'm pretty sure there are still tickets available, yes.
It's funny that you mentioned that, because while you were describing it, I immediately went to how it would be as a video game, and I went Fallout gender equality.
It is a little bit Fallout.
With Cooking Mama.
It is Fallout mixed with Cooking Mama, sure. Absolutely. Anyway,
So how's the experience of the show been? Because I don't know what your actual official title is with the show, what you guys...
my official title, which I absolutely love, Shane put me in the program as the Sorcerer's Apprentice.
Nice.
So what does that title officially mean?
You mean you play music and brooms? And,
Yeah, right.
Oh, mops, it was
mops and things and
buckets.
everything just dances around. No. So I'm stage manager. I've helped with a little bit of... A little bit on the directing side. I've kind of been all around, which is why we felt we couldn't quite pin down specifically what my title was. For a little while there, I was possibly going to be doing the sound and lighting for a few of the shows, because Phil, our fabulous sound and lighting guy, was possibly going to be down in Melbourne. Melbourne? Sydney? Whatever. Down
Somewhere
south.
not here.
Yeah, not here, effectively. And so, yeah, for a little while I was possibly going to be doing that, but thankfully I didn't have to step into that, because, good lord, I don't want to have to deal with all the queues for Fully Committed.
Yeah.
Yeah, so many phones and buzzers and things. It's amazing. So yeah, like I've done a lot of stuff, and I've just been generally helping out as much as I can with the behind the scenes. And
So this would be your first time sort of helping out behind the scenes with ILT?
Yeah.
In that sort of sense? How is that the experience from actually being on the stage at the theatre? Because you've been on the stage a couple of times as well.
It's been interesting. It's definitely opened my eyes up to the complexity of the job. And I think often when I've been on stage, you take the director a little bit for granted. You kind of be like, oh, they either had this planned for weeks, or, you just think, that's just what they're doing. It probably isn't that difficult. But actually, I won't say doing it myself, because it's been Kate and Shane for his own show, and Kate for this show has done such a good job and so much work, and you can see that, like when you watch that show, the quality that you like. It's not just the actors, like, because like all the women we have are phenomenal.
Yeah.
Like, they do such a good job, but it's also just like from my perspective, like, seeing the work that Kate has put into this and the time that she's put into this, it really has crafted just a phenomenal show. And I think that's really what it's done for me, it's opened my eyes to really what actually goes on behind all of the acting. Because, like, not to say that the acting isn't difficult. I mean, sometimes, like, it's...
You speak as a natural.
Yeah, speaking as an actor. No,
An actor.
an actor. Speaking as a raging thespian. Anyway, but, like, that's the thing. Like, I don't think anyone is going to argue the fact that getting up in front of an audience and saying words is a little bit intimidating, but there's so much else that has to happen before that. There's so much work and there's so much planning that has to go in to being able to have you up in front of that audience saying the words, and so
It's interesting because it's a sort of completely different conglomerate, in the sense that when actors are doing the show, they go home and they recite the lines and that, whereas when you go home as a director, you're like, I need to make sure everything's ready. Like, I need to figure out what lighting cues, I need to figure out costuming, I need to...
Because that's something
Funding!
you dealt with stage directions. You were just thinking about it constantly. Yeah.
To the point where even Easter eggs on the set, because I didn't have enough free time on my bloody hands.
Oh, yeah, it's like one. God, that would have been was that a Saturday or a Sunday? A Saturday or a Sunday, Kate and I literally spent the entire day here making quiches.
Yep.
Because we need a quiche to be eaten for every single show.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, is that a spoiler? 5 lesbians eating a quiche involves.
Oh.
No, it involves a quiche being eaten. It's ruined. No, but we needed one for every show, you know, and so we didn't want to have to make one on the day every time because
screw that.
you know, we've got like Wednesday and Thursday shows, and that's just ridiculous. So we cooked.
Yeah, and I assume it's not something that you can smash out an hour before the show.
Not really. Like you probably could, but only
You'd be sacrificing a lot of other things,
You'd be
like
sacrificing other time, you know.
Yeah.
And like, it just was one of those things where we were like, "Oh, screw it, we've got you know my lovely big oven now." And so yeah, we just got into it basically one day and made 7 because Kate's mum was very kind and offered to cook some herself as well, and so she made 5, and then we ended up making 7 or 8, I think. Oh no, so we ended up because there's also some prop quiches which we made, which don't get eaten.
Made with just crap, rotten eggs.
Yeah, you know, some hair, grass clippings.
What have you found on the carpet?
Yeah, you know.
Yeah. Tasty.
Yeah, so we were just cooking quiches all day.
Were they all the same flavour of quiche?
Yes, well they're all roughly, because there's a certain quiche that wins, you know, and then that's the prize quiche, and that's the one that gets eaten, and so it's described, and so we made roughly that quiche.
Yeah.
except for closing that, where you've made one at the bottom laid with jalapenos.
Yeah, absolutely.
There'll be more.
This quiche. Oh, it's amazing!
It's like there's gonna be more than one. There's gonna be more than one explosion in the show.
Yeah, exactly. So, hoorah.
Yeah. Were there many dietary requirements you had to keep track of?
Yeah, actually, hilariously. Well, one of our cast members is dairy intolerant. Not lactose intolerant, like dairy in its entirety. And so, you know, we couldn't have cheese in it. Which is why I said we made roughly that quiche, because the quiche that's described has Gruyere in it, which is a type of cheese. Mm-hmm. And so ours doesn't.
I always thought that was the candlestick from Beauty and the Beast.
That's Lumiere. But, yeah, so...
My God.
Yeah, also... funnily enough, that the actual recipe that we ended up using was actually developed by one of the cast, because you know, she made one that she can eat. Yeah. And that
screw everyone else. You gotta eat it.
Yeah. Oh no, it's actually good. Like the cast has actually said they really like it.
Mm. There's a funny story with that. Is that my partner Brittany was really wanting to audition for the show, and like she couldn't because of other commitments. But then I was like, if you audition for the show, they would have a very shit time, because you'd be like, oh, by the way, I can't eat quiche. I'm a celiac.
Yeah. God, yeah. Good lord.
No, you can eat. No, I got nothing. I
can't. We literally just have to cook an omelette.
She'll drink some water that look like a quiche.
For Brittany, we just have to cook an omelette in a dish, basically. It would contain nothing of
But no, I look forward to seeing the show, and I'm very excited to see it. And just also because I've worked at the bar a few times and just had the audience, just hear the audience from in there. They're just uproarious laughter. And yeah, I'm really excited for it. All right, I may as well swing to this direction,
please do.
Cody.
Swing away.
For those of you listening at home.
For those of you who can't see.
Who are keeping track of your speaker sounds.
Use that sense of hearing.
This is going to come out as mono.
It's not going to come out anyway, yeah.
So, Cody,
Don't.
Cody, it's been probably nearly a year and a half since you were...
Yeah, that's been pretty good.
So sad! So what have you been up? So I think the last thing that you were officially doing that we talked about was USV Alpha 12.
Yeah, I think so. Sure, we'll go with that.
Yes, because you and Kyle were doing USV Alpha 12 while we were doing that. So I'm just trying to think what you did next. You did a little variety show at KSP where where you basically tried to just offend the audience as much as you possibly
Well,
could.
yeah. So I was only out there to help out with some dancing because I'm fabulous.
Ironically.
You're shimmying,
Shut up,
second none.
No, yeah, just to kind of help out because I think because my partner Courtney was in it as well, singing songs and whatnot, and so I just went along for funsies, and I was just going to be like a backup dancer, whatever. And yeah, then they got me out to do a little bit of just a tree. Yeah, I played some grass, and then they got me to kind of fill in between scenes, just some dialogue. I think they gave me a poem to read, and then actually they gave me two. Sorry, and then while I was on my second poem, I just added some extra stuff, just kind of to give it a little bit of context, because it was all about, oh, I love you, sweetie. You're awesome. Why are you angry with me? You know, your bum's big. You know, that kind of stuff. I can't remember the actual poem, but I added some context just to also give them time to do a scene change and costume change. And then the director, Janelle, gave me a bit more freedom. They're like, yeah, look, if you can drag it out, add some extra time to give them time to change, go for it. And then I just dragged it out. I just added more and more and more.
The night Sam, myself, Brittany, and Kate came, you were making like sexist jokes.
Oh yeah, because my
and they were
character
like-
was very kind of bogan. Actually, I think the second poem, I did a bit of improv and just added more stuff each night, and yeah, I think I offended a few people on occasion. You know, you had a few sexist jokes just in character.
That's your life mission, isn't it?
Yeah. It was even getting to the... yeah, sometimes. It was, it got to the point where everyone would, like, go and get changed, and then they would come back, and they would be listening to me, and they're like, he hasn't even started the poem yet.
Dear God, people are going to go home. Yeah.
Just stop already!
45 minutes of Cody just being like, and there was that one time.
But no, that was a lot of fun. And I don't think Janelle will give me that kind of freedom ever again.
Probably not. Speaking of KSP, we'll
Yeah.
talk about one of your most recent ones,
Yeah.
which was you were in Cozzy.
Oh.
You got to play a pyromaniac of Doug.
It was pretty awesome. I thoroughly enjoyed it. Another kind of very Australian character. And Courtney is upset that I was able to find the character so quickly. Maybe not upset, maybe creeped out is probably the correct answer.
Yeah, fair.
I also just think you're an imbecile because you burnt your shoes while you were still in them.
Well, okay, well, that's in character, but it wasn't on stage.
Well, that's good.
They were $3 shoes. We had bought them just that day, and I thought, well, they're so white, you know, and all white things should be burnt. Aaron, no, no.
I'll have you know the sun does plenty of that to me.
No, they were way too white and clean. So I went out and I put cigarette ash on them, and
But my problem with it is you did burn them while you were wearing them. I get that. I get the old thing, but it's like you're wearing the shoes.
No, it's not like they were, you know, in flames on my feet, and I wasn't like dancing around trying
You
to
said
pick
it
them up.
hurt.
After a while. and then I took them off and burnt them better.
And then you went, oh, hang on, my feet are in.
Yeah, well, hang on a second.
Hang on a minute, fire burns!
But no. Yeah, no, that was a lot of fun. And it's a great story. People love hearing that. Me burning my feet in my shoes. You know?
That is a good story.
So, you said you got the character pretty quickly. What do you sort of necessarily think, because the character, or one majority of the characters in Cozzy are mentally unstable?
Yeah. So it helps that I've had that for a few years, you know.
Well, I mean, like, with, like, how is it,
I've experienced
like,
that.
because obviously Doug's character is a character that the only satisfaction he gets is
It's fire.
fire. How do you sort of, like, as that sort of thing, how does you sort of find a way of how they justify that and how they...
Well, I think with any character you get, you should always be able to justify the way they think.
Yeah.
Like, be able to rationalize how they rationalize. And so I did a bit of research on people who like breathe fire and do like fire play, pyromaniacs and all this kind of stuff. So I watched a few little documentaries and whatnot, and found out that a lot of it is it's very kind of a childish discovery kind of thing. Apparently, like almost everyone in their life has an interest in fire at a young age. It's this kind of destructive, kind of exciting kind of thing, like, oh, here's the thing, and it could burn down the house, but it might not. It's a very kind of exciting kind of thing. And so I played up on that quite a lot, and I played him kind of very a childish, excited kind of person. The other thing is a lot of pyromaniacs get a lot of sexual enjoyment out of fire, but I decided not to play it that way, rather than just to play on the actual, like I said, excitement and the risk and the danger, as it were. And yeah.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I think because when we went and saw it, I really liked Doug. I really liked your characterization of that. I think that's probably a good decision to not go too far down the sexual enjoyment.
Because in the movie, I believe, if I remember from the movie, he's got a hard on at one point when there's a fire and he's rubbing it.
And also when another company did it as well, and their person, while he was doing one of the monologues where he's talking about him burning his mother's cats. He's same thing. He's sitting on stage and he's doing this monologue, kind of just staring into nothing and rubbing himself. And I thought that is one way of doing it, but I've decided to do kind of the more childish aspect of like, yeah, awesome.
So it sort of reverts back to
kind
like
of takes him back to his childhood in a way.
Reverts back to a good time. So, speaking of actually hard-ons and erections,
Cool, thanks.
I was going to say, funny enough, Sam is one of the rarest people with theatre so far that he has actually masturbated on stage.
Yeah. Well, not actually.
Well,
no, he went for it.
Oh yeah.
Well, we don't know. You had a sheet over you.
I was covered by a sheet. Yeah.
So it was a one-act play called All for the Nation, where you played the character with the best name,
Bloke.
That's the best name, isn't it? Just keep it short and simple.
That was a great show. I thoroughly enjoyed that.
Actually, so did I. I really liked being in that show. It was just it was so witty and he's such a good character to play, because it's a 20-minute, 25-minute.
Yeah, it wasn't particularly.
It wasn't a long play, no.
No, it's not long, and I reckon Bloke is he's on, technically I'm on stage for the entire thing, but he's only active for maybe 5 minutes of the whole play.
Yeah.
But no, I had a lot of fun with that. It was good times. And also to this day, in rehearsing for that play, I received the best piece of direction I've ever received ever, which is Sam, just when in the bit when you start playing with yourself, could we just get a bit more of a bigger penis, please?
Look, I'm doing what I can.
All right, I'm working with what God gave me. All right. Yeah.
I'm an actor. I can only do so much.
Yeah.
All right, and sort of not really a segue at all. I'll mention one of. I'd probably say it was. Yeah, so a role that that we worked on together, I should say. So we'll move on to as you described, the play of the monologues, which is the Glass Menagerie. You got to play Tom Winfield, if that's... Yes, I'm correct with the name?
Sure.
It was Tom, I remember that.
Well, you were both in it, and neither of you knows.
I know it was definitely...
Tom, I just don't remember the last name.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I can't remember the last name either, that's a bit bad.
But describe that, because that really is one of those shows that it is a very iconic show, but at the same time, it's a show where your character is mainly the character. Because you spend probably 80% of the time talking and doing stuff. And he's a very complex character.
He was a complex character. He was a lot of fun. Really, a character I would describe as being simultaneously unsure of who he is and uncomfortable with who he is.
It speaks to you a lot, doesn't it?
Yeah, right. Yeah, he was a lot of fun as well because of the shift in presentation. Because in those monologues, they are to the audience. They are through the fourth wall, you know. And in them, he's a lot more. He's a lot more approachable, or he's a lot more... I won't say charismatic. Charismatic is probably too much... is probably too strong of a word, but he's more social and open, and he's like more far less of a nervous person. But then you have the scenes with there's a scene with his mother where he is trying to, he's talking about the sister and how because she's a little weird or whatever, and I really wanted to play. I really had I had this thing where I would pinch the ends of my fingers in succession, and it created I didn't have many, not many people picked up on it, but I had a few people who said that they were watching that, they could see me doing it, and they said that it really created something subtle created this really nervous energy, like this is something that he does. An
internal struggle.
Yeah, and he was a lot of fun to play, and so many different levels as well of emotion. Like there's that scene where there's no lead up to it, where I've just got to come into the scene furious. Like it just starts with yelling and yelling and yelling.
That was a very strong scene with you and Sally. Yeah,
that was so. Oh man, I was actually so glad that scene came together the way it did. I remember the first time we rehearsed it, I actually scared the crap out of Sally. And I'm like, no,
it's okay.
It's okay. Not actually angry. She was good to work with too. She had her characterization of the mother, just that southern. That southern belle, like just that she held on, like who there
and slowly but surely deteriorated her children.
Yeah, who was just holding on to this that fantasy of what her her childhood or whatever, sort of like her teenage years used to be, being in the American South and like probably. Slightly somewhat wealthy, and going to balls and being someone that people sought after and all this sort of stuff, and then now she's living in, where are they living? It's something like New York or something like that, or it's one of those sort of bigger like proper in the city, bloody turn of the century dingy awful places now, and. I really appreciated her character in that. Like it was really good. It just had she had such a good way of carrying herself. Do you remember because you remember when she had that way of where she's come from status and that sort of thing, and thanks to like the costume we had her in and the set. It was so good because she looked out of place.
Yeah.
In exactly the way you want her to look out of place.
Yeah.
And
I quite thoroughly enjoyed the show too. I played the gentleman caller where I come in. One of my favourite parts actually was just before we came in. We had this little part where we were where the audience could see us. We were waiting at the door and we were talking, and because we had to mime talking and. They were like, just that. We would just try and actively say the worst stuff we possibly could.
Trying to break each other?
Just trying to make the other one crack a smile or laugh or something.
And we were talking, I think one day we were talking about slavery and...
and just being, we're just being unimaginably crass,
Because it's interesting, because the scene that goes straight in is, we have like a very minor scene where you sort of talk about your frustrations and that you're planning to leave, and I'm sort of being like, well, I kind of hold that over your head for a little bit after that, and then you leave, and then I try to, I sort of am hanging out with the sister, and I end up kissing her, and that's the point where the audience is like, yes, she finally has something good that happens.
Things are going well.
And then I say I'm in a relationship, and the audience just absolutely hates me after that.
Yeah, the audience really tended to turn on you.
They really did, because they're like, oh, you fuck.
Yeah, pretty much.
It was pretty much like that, because it would be like, I would do that, and then I'd instantly freak out, and she's all like that, and then I say that I'm that, and you could just hear a pin drop of people just being like, because it's one of those plays where it's just something bad happens, and people are just holding on to hoping that something good happens, and then And then that happens, and then you're basically like, fuck it, I'm leaving.
I'm out, yeah.
And then you tell this story about how you never saw him again and that you felt bad that you left your sister behind.
Pretty much.
And that's the play.
Yeah.
Jesus.
Right?
Is it based off a true story, or is that just
It's
depressing as hell?
Vaguely, God, who was the
Tennessee,
writer?
it's based vaguely William on Tennessee Williams' relationship with his family.
Oh yeah.
The mother is very much meant to be a representation of his mother.
Yeah. And Tom is meant to pretty much be very much a representation of Tennessee Williams, and it's
Which is interesting because it has sort of like the thing about Tom is he's got homosexual tendencies, and it's very much hinted throughout. That
it is. Which it's actually funny, right? Something I was thinking of during the time is that I reckon that interestingly, I think Tom's proclivities are far more subtle in today's day and age.
Yeah.
Like if you took that play from when it was written, people would have been like, I reckon he's a dandy or something like that.
Yeah.
But like in today's society, he just talks about going to the movies a lot.
Yeah.
And like he's just like, I'm going to the movies, and I went and saw a magician. Like, but like back then, it's like, he's sneaking out at night to go and probably be with men like that, because that's what they had to do. They had to meet secretly, and they had to have all of these bloody code words and stuff. Like it was like some secret lesbian societies, but like secret. It was such a secretive and badly thought of thing, which is just ridiculous.
which added to the whole character's, sort of frustration in that, because, like, even like you said with the pinching at the end of your fingers, you're very much a wound up character because you're hiding, you can't be yourself, you just want to leave, you hate your mother.
Yeah, and like that, and that's what that's his thing, is that he feels like I always pictured him as imagining himself in a cage that's getting smaller.
Oh yeah.
Because and if in a sense, and like if you in a sense he views his mother as the jailer, but he views his sister as the chain.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, but that stops him from going there.
And that stops him from going. But in that bizarre kind of, I was going to say Stockholm syndrome, but that's not really true. But like it's kind of like but that thing, someone who is kept in that position, someone who is forced into that position, he comes to love the chain.
Yeah.
He loves his sister because he sees that she's there too.
Yeah.
Because well, yes, she keeps him in the cage. She's also in the cage.
Yeah.
And so he developed, like he has very strong feelings that that he has to be there for her to protect her, but he also has this because of his mother, because of the way that the dad has vanished, the dad's disappeared into the ether. Because he's basically been like, oh, what? I'm suddenly a family man. Can't have that. off into the
Go for a pack of cigarettes.
Yeah, right, and never return. And so, the mother, because the mother feels abandoned by the father, she puts that on the kids. That you are the reason I am like this. You are the reason I found myself in this position that I don't enjoy.
Right.
And while she doesn't do it directly, she does it pretty savagely. Like it's never that clear or that direct, but it's just in everything that that Tom is a failure, that he's just as bad as his dad and all this sort of stuff, that he wants, just because what he wants is he wants to work, because he works in a warehouse and he hates it, and he just wants to he just wants to find a job that will fulfill him more or something, but the mother sees that as him not wanting to provide, he doesn't want to be to bring home
the sole caretaker, as it were.
Yeah. He doesn't want to look after the family, just like his dad. his dad's a horrible pig and you're just as bad and all this sort of stuff.
Oh yeah.
And the daughter, because the daughter, like she has, she's got a gammy leg, like she was born that way. Like she has a limp. She's very self-conscious about that, and she's very withdrawn. She doesn't like talking to people, and the mother sees that as a failing on her.
Yeah.
Because her daughter isn't like she was, because she was she was
kind of belle of the ball.
exactly, like she was.
Had so many gentlemen callers.
Yes, all of these gentlemen callers and all this sort of stuff, and that she was this center of attention, this incredibly popular, beautiful young woman, and she sees her daughter as as this sort of failure on that, and that's a negative thing on her. So again, naturally, she tends to belittles the daughter, and she pushes her into these situations that she's not comfortable with, and all this sort of stuff, and that she can't cope with. So it ends up being, and just gets to this point. You're right though. It is such a sad story. It's brilliant, and it's excellent to watch. But yeah, and then at the end, Tom has enough, and he leaves.
Yeah, just breaks, and he's like, "No, done."
Yeah, I'm out, and he just leaves. And
because it's because you're pretty much you're hoping Tom's going to. Oh, you hope that Jim, I should say, my character, is that he's going to help her, so that way you're like, finally, somebody else can look after her. I know she'll be in safe hands, then I can go.
Yeah.
And then when that happens, you're kind of like, fuck it.
Yeah. Because the other thing as well is that I'm told to bring someone home. I'm told, like, by the mother, bring someone home for your sister. Bring home someone from work. Find someone who's all right. And I'm like, well, God, I know Jim. He's an all right dude. Like, he does all right.
And then it was me.
It's just an acquaintance. Like,
Pretty
not
much,
actual
like,
friends,
that's
as
the thing.
workmates.
Exactly, because that's the thing. He isn't. He spends his time, like...
How do you feel like that conversation would have gone? Oh, hey, I know we hardly talk and we both work in the warehouse. You want to come meet my sister?
Well, that's the thing.
No, you didn't. He doesn't actually say it. You just say, come over for dinner.
Yeah, come over for dinner.
Oh, okay.
That's pretty much what he says.
Because you don't tell him the intention.
No, because that's bloody bizarre. Be like, hey, listen, we're like vaguely friends from work. Do you want to come over and maybe marry my sister? I've got a crazy mother. Hey,
That sounds like a sitcom waiting to happen.
It almost would be. In a different light, that play would be a sitcom, wouldn't it? If you just shifted it a little, if instead of being a broody, super nervous character, if instead Tom just reacts with, Mom, or something like that,
It's like, Mom, I go to a job that I hate. I don't want to be making shoes the rest of my life.
Wah, wah,
What
That
you have
really-
a soul?
Yeah, I was going to... Damn it, you stole my joke.
Yeah, I did.
That's
where we're going.
Yeah, no, it was quite a good show, and I quite enjoyed it. And yeah, like you said, it was very much... It's one of those ones where it was like, it's a fascinating story, but it's like a very... because how it's presented, it's a very dark fairy tale. Because, there's this whole thing about imagination. But, yeah, it's a very, very, very dark fairy tale. Alrighty. We'll go back to Cody.
Okay.
So, you also did another play this year. I heard it was written by this terrible, terrible guy, and also directed by the same guy. Sounds a bit like a douche, really.
Yeah, he was, yeah.
Yeah.
You're talking about stage directions?
Yeah.
Written by double A Ron Evans. Yeah.
I think it's pronounced Evans. Evans.
Yeah. How was that for you?
It was interesting because...
Sorry.
No, it's a very good question because Cody actually played the role of Gerald, who is actually the director in the show.
Yeah.
And you were a piece of shit.
I was.
Because,
I generally am. But...
Because Cody tried to very meta his role and being like, Actually, if you went over here and did it... Oh, wait, no, I'm not the director.
Actually, yeah. So I did find myself actually directing some of the people while I was doing it. Like,
And I'm like, Cody.
like sometimes Aaron would be like, okay, yeah, so for this line, I think I could like deliver it like this, and I would say to them, yeah, so kind of like this. And I would have like put it in a new spin. And also, we were joking early on that I'd be like, oh, Aaron, I don't know how you want me to do this. Can you just hop up here and show me? And I would go to sit down in his director's chair.
He tried.
I tried, yeah.
Oh, that would be gold.
No, it was pretty fun. Yeah, playing a director was pretty good.
Yeah, no, it's a very, well...
All of the esteem, none of the work.
Effectively.
Yeah, pretty much. No, it was a lot of fun to do that show. Well, I'll say that on my behalf.
Yeah, you're telling me that it was fun, Aaron?
Yeah, it was fun, wasn't it, Cody? I think one of the favorite parts of the show was just the little mannerisms that you put in that nobody picked up until later on when the show was on. Like when we were having when there was that huge argument scene and Victoria goes, that every bogan loves you for. My favourite part is you just in the corner going...
Yeah, I would like hide my smile like, oh, she's insulting him. Yeah, that's true.
And he's like, and she's like, I can't argue with that. But your little mannerisms in that. And I think another thing that I quite enjoyed with the show was actually the set. Because me as a director, I kind of like minimalism. Held, for example, a chair.
One chair.
And so having to actually make a set at first for me was like, oh god, we need things. And then it actually turned out to be a lot of fun because Joe and I early on were like, why don't we just throw Easter eggs to all the shows that we've done? And we threw in little Easter eggs there. And
I gotta admit,
right. Lord, earlier when you said Easter eggs on the stage,
you thought actual Easter eggs?
It was literal Easter eggs.
Yeah, I thought the exact same thing when he first brought it up months ago.
My brain is dumb. Alright.
I was like, oh, it's not taking place during Easter, is it?
Yeah.
What are you on about? But no, like hints from other shows and all
you've
that.
done. Yeah, that's right.
Like Joe had her Lipstick Dreams outfit in the wardrobe, and I made a little picture with like a band announcement with the cut. And I had a clicker that had director Wendy Adams play Held.
Yeah.
So basically to say that what she did, she went and made a movie about it. And little things. It was I quite had a lot of fun with it, and we got a pretty good stage Whispers review, which I was very happy with. And
I thought you were going to say surprised.
Well, I kind of was. But I was very happy with it as well. Not that I'm tooting my own horn or anything. With Stage Whispers writing a review about stage directions, that didn't confuse me enough as it is.
Well, I must admit, I was a little bit surprised, but not because it said nice things. I wasn't surprised about it because it said nice things. I was surprised more just with the level of detail because we've had Stage Whispers talk about our ILT plays before, but it's like some of the better ones that they've talked about. It's just been like, Ipswich Little Theatre did this play recently. It was good, thank you.
Yeah,
and, that's it. They put in such the tiniest little blurbs. But with this one, he was talking about the actual actors and talking about he actually went into detail.
And he talked about even song choices.
Yeah, and I was like, it's a good. It was surprising and uplifting to see that they actually, were paying attention to
put some effort in.
Yeah.
One of the favourite things that I liked about it was the fact that it was interesting to see the audience, because people who don't necessarily who don't actually do theatre, they were like, oh yeah, it's good. But people who actually have been done theatre for a long time were like, you told so much truth in that. Yeah. And I'm like, yeah, it's really for actors and all that who have been in shows. There are a lot, especially if you've been in shows with people that have grinded you the wrong way.
Yeah.
Actually, to be honest, I can't say that too. I can't. That grunt was too knowing. I haven't really been in a show with anyone that I've really been like, God.
Well, that means it was you then. Don't rub
Well,
everyone
yeah,
else the wrong way.
exactly,
Yeah.
Oh yeah, we felt
Oh,
that
that's
way.
fine.
We felt that way with the Glass Menagerie and A Few Good Men.
Yeah, I like my favourite thing to do during a rehearsal period is to literally come into a rehearsal and rub everyone with sandpaper.
No, for Glass Menagerie, you just tried to piss off Margaret as much as possible with the whole top billing, which was fantastic. There was a newspaper article where Sam was mentioned first, and he just went up to Margaret and went, "Ooh, top billing." And then ever since, for every part that was there, he would always be like, "Ooh, top billing."
It was a one-time joke, you know.
Yeah.
Like initially, it was meant to be a one-time joke.
But her reaction
But
and that.
she was so salty about it that I was like, I'm going to do
They
it.
just keep
Yeah.
going. People dig themselves into holes with that. They don't even realise.
They don't realise that if had you just been like, you know, or like, you know, just blown it off or not given a shit. But no, she was so salty about it.
I love people who do that.
Yeah.
It's just so entertaining.
But you got.
I got into it too.
Yeah, you got me back with it because then there was some. I can't remember what it was now, but there was one that listed us alphabetically, and so you came.
Oh, that was when we
first.
did a talk at the park, and I was like, "Ooh, top billing."
That's what it was. Top Billy, and I was like, damn it!
I'm like, "No one's gonna beat me. I got 2 fucking A's."
Oh yeah, exactly. You got 2 A's and an E. Like,
And I'm like, "That's right." The only
We
way
need to change your name to Sam.
yeah.
it's funny enough reminds me, as a kid, I was like so excited because when I used to do roll call, my name would be first, and I was like so excited, being like, "That must mean my name's first in the dictionary." Yeah, and I looked at the dictionary, and Aardvark was before me, and I'm like, "You piece of ant-eating shit! Why do you exist?"
Fantastic. God damn you, Aardvark! Yeah.
Mm.
Thus started the AA wars.
And slowly, I've been trying to wipe him out.
Yeah, I
since.
found the aardvark. Hey, have you seen an aardvark lately?
Aaron, you monster!
No, but I've seen a lot more ants.
Man, everyone who was in the AA wars was charged with battery. But that's enough of this podcast. Thank you, everyone.
Good now. Oh dear lord. But no, yeah, going back to stage direction, that show was a lot of fun. I actually thought, I was, yeah, well, that's all I really. I don't really have to.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I found the experience to be very rewarding. Obviously,
I found it funny that year. Was that this year? Was it stage directions? I've already forgotten.
that was only like 2 months ago. Dude.
Yeah. Okay. No. Because
More
Cody.
than 2 months ago. Yeah.
Okay, 3 months, September.
Okay. Yeah, that Courtney this year alone has done more shows than some of the other castmates have done in their entirety.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's because Courtney is insane.
Yeah. Yeah.
clinically,
Yeah.
but
But yeah, it was just fascinating. And it was good working with new people who are kind of still very fresh to acting. Unlike us seasoned professionals.
Seasoned stage veterans. Yeah.
But yeah, it was good to finally see that story finally up as well because
Yeah.
it was the same about Held, like it was about nearly a 2-year thing to get it there, and yeah, I was very happy with the end result, and also just to finally get that satisfaction in my own mind that I'm like, no, you can legit do this, because for the whole time my brain was being like, stop now while you're ahead, and then I'm being like, no, I can do that, and yeah,
That's all you got?
that's the thing I all really have to say about that. So with that in mind, Sam, A Few Good Men.
Oh, let's slowly work backwards through it.
Yeah, I was going to say, so...
The dawn of time.
Yeah.
Well, I bring up A Few Good Men because, funny enough, your character's name was Sam.
Yeah.
Well,
And
that's easy to remember.
Yeah, it was. I didn't even have to, like, most of the time then people would say my name and I'd just be like, huh? Yeah.
you got to play the Sam who was played in the movie by Kevin Pollak. Now, I've talked about A Few Good Men a bit before because a lot of the people either watched it and enjoyed it or were in it. I personally believe that it was one of the best experiences I've ever had.
Mm-hmm.
But
No, I would agree.
I was going to say, how would you feel?
You'd
about
agree that it was the best
It
experience
was
you've ever
definitely-
had?
I would agree. I think it's definitely been the best experience you've ever had, Aaron. I mean,
Yeah. It was a few good men. Come on.
Compared to your other experiences, like that coffee you had the other morning, and like. A Few Good Men is probably one of the shows that I am the most proud of being.
Oh yes.
Especially, I had because a part of it is that I had a bit of a struggle at the beginning because the character of Sam in the play, there are several scenes where he's just kind of there and he doesn't necessarily do anything. It's just important that he is there because he has to have, because for other scenes he has to have knowledge of the, of events or whatever. And so I was struggling because at the time, personally at the time I was, struggling with feelings of feeling unimportant, feeling unimportant to people in my life. And so then I was playing this character who I felt was unimportant to the narrative, and which he's not. He isn't not at all. But at the time, that's the feeling that I struggled with, you know. I had this. I really had this sort of inner turmoil at the time until I was talking. I had a chat with Kyle about it. And I think I had a bit of a chat with Shane, who was directing, and I came to this conclusion that what I needed to do was react more to what was going on, to be more aware of what the character, what is happening in front of me, and what is being said and what is being done around me, and react to it and show emotion. And so I had a lot of fun. Eventually, I ended up having really enjoying it because just being able to show, just being able to try and feel what I felt the audience was meant to be feeling, and I made myself. I started to think of myself as being a mirror for the audience, so that the audience could look on stage, see Kathy and see Jessup, and the conflict, and then if anyone, if any eyes drifted to me, they would see me feeling the same feeling that they're feeling. So it gives them justification that they understand.
Yep.
And I knew that it worked one day, because there was one performance, because there's this one bit where we've been in court, and oh my god, I'm so bad with character names. What was Eldine's character name?
Yes.
Damn it! Oh man,
I can't remember.
Oh, that makes me feel like a really bad person.
You remember Eldine, so you know.
Oh yeah, of course I remember Eldine. I'm not gonna but
Anyway,
who was that person who played that person?
There was so and so. I think it was a girl. No,
There were many females in that play. I can't remember.
No, so, oh God, for lack of a better term, Eldine's character kind of drops the ball in the courtroom. I can't remember. She forgets a document, or she.
Oh no, she stands up and she tries to. She keeps arguing about. They should do something, and then everyone's like, yeah.
Everyone kind of, the judge shuts her down or something, doesn't it? Yeah, that's right. And it kind of gets the defensive counsel in a bit of trouble. And then Kathy Kyle's character absolutely has a go at her. And because he's just, it's all very much that he's failing, and like he's worried that he's not going to succeed, and so he lashes out at the people near him. And I knew it was working one day because there was this because there. So I'm sitting at a desk, and they're arguing over the top of me, right? So they're like just back and forth, and I'm tidying up the desk, getting some papers in order, reshuffling them, just putting them in where I want them, putting all this stuff nearby, and I'm just getting I'm just trying to ignore them, you know, like being like, God, this being kind of frustrated, and then finally she says something to Kyle, or Kathy goes off his nut and turns around and just swipes all the papers off my desk. And it was just so gratifying because then I just lock up, and I felt the audience do the same. Yeah. I felt the audience come along. They'd be like, "Oh, that bastard!" You know, like, "Oh my God, he just did that." And it was so, you know, and then because she gets like, that's right. She says, "I'm sorry, I cost you your steak knives" or something, which is a reference to something earlier in the play where if he, you know, gets a few more cases, he'll get a case of steak knives or something like that. Some stupid joke he throws out. And she storms off, and I follow her. And then I come back on stage, and because Kathy sits on stage by himself for a little while, and he's like takes a swig out of this flask. I think it was a full bottle of Jack Daniels. Yeah. Takes this big swig, and he's just sitting there, and I come back on stage. And everyone was ready. Everyone was ready for me to rip him a new one, to just call him out and crush him. And I don't. I feel sorry for him. And I talk about why is he hurting himself like this, and why is he self-destructing like he is. And it brings everyone right back around. It was so good. Yeah. It was such a satisfying experience as an actor to
throw a curveball.
Yeah, to bring everyone to this point where they are ready. They are ready. They're ready as a group.
It would be justified. The audience could see that like, oh yeah, you're gonna tear him a new one. He's gonna know what he's done, and then you just pity him.
Yeah, and I'm just like, you do this to yourself all the time. You constantly you expect so much from yourself, and then if you don't reach this, if you don't reach this bar of perfection, you tear yourself. Like you fall apart and you hurt those around you. Like, you've got to stop holding yourself to this impossible ideal and all this sort of stuff. And it was so satisfying. Yeah. Yeah, nice. because there was another night where it worked really well because I'm not 100% on the details why, but Eldine was having some personal troubles, and so in that scene, it got to her a bit more. Like it got to her a bit more, and she actually started crying on stage. Like she didn't break character. She didn't lose didn't lose focus, which I to this day believe is one of the has got to be one of the strongest moments from an actor that I've been around to see. Yeah, the fact that it pushed her to this point, but she didn't let it ruin it. She just took this struggle, she took this emotion that which I think had kind of maybe snuck up on her a bit. Yeah. And she just forced it into the performance, and it was fantastic. Because and it pushed Kyle up as well, because she's started crying, and he has just thought, and Kyle too has just basically just turned the venom up. Yeah, has just been like, all right, no, we've pushed it to this level, so I've got to be even worse. I've got to be such a bad guy, worth it. Yeah. And so she's come off stage, and because that's it. Because normally she doesn't. Because normally she doesn't cry in the because I'm looking down at my desk, right? Because that's what I'm doing. I'm down at the desk, and I see water hit the desk. And in my stupid brain, for a quick second, because I think it was raining that night, it was like, is the bloody ceiling leaking? And so I've gone to surreptitiously look up at the ceiling, and I've seen her cry, and I'm like, oh no! Like I'm like, what has happened? Like, and so that I'm sorry I lost you your case of steak knives line came out like steak knives flying through the air. Like it was fabulous. Just like, it was so cutting and so perfect with the emotion that she was showing. And then she's rushed off stage, and I've followed her, and I've like just before I've gone off stage, I've like thrown this quick glance back at
Like, you bastard.
yeah, you bastard, off stage, and I've quickly gone to make sure that she's okay. But she's come off and like into, you know, the rest of the cast who are all like, you know, kind of just milling around backstage, and then they're all there making sure she was okay and all this sort of stuff. And I'm like, okay, I'm just gonna go back. So I've turned around and I've gone to go back on stage, but it was like just before I could be seen.
Yeah.
There was this a tangible wall of loathing.
Yeah.
From the audience, and I just saw Kyle sitting there on stage with this bottle of Jack Daniels, looking dejected, and I could feel it. Like, you could just feel the audience being like, "You bastard, you absolute bastard," and I let him sit in it.
Yeah.
I was just like, no, I'm going to give this a few more seconds, just a little while longer, to sit in this, because it worked.
Yeah.
And then I came back on, and the moment I came, because everyone was so focused on him, because I gave them that extra few seconds to really just like be looking at him. When I came back on, everyone turned, everyone turns to me, and then I felt it again, that everyone's ready for it. Everyone's ready for like, here comes Sam, come to tell him that he's a fucking idiot and tear him a new one. And then we turned it around. Yeah. And then we swapped them on it, and it was...
that is so beautiful. It was awesome.
It was so good.
That is one of the best things, really, is to be able to feel the audience. As an actor, especially, that's the reason you keep going. Is definitely to get that, like, you do it for that audience reaction. It's... I mean, I try to every now and then try and describe it, but I can't seem to figure out what's the best way.
It's difficult to put into words. Yeah.
It's just like, it's something that just seeps in you.
Yeah.
Or, as Sam said for his, it's something you can, before you go on, you can feel, you can see, you can... And it's just, especially like, you know, with a comedy, it's easy, because, you know, if they laugh, you're like, alright, cool.
And you can feed off that, you know.
Yeah, you can feed off
their
that.
energy gives
but when
you energy.
But when it's a drama and it's done that, you feed off that...
That
just
silence
feeling,
and nervous energy.
tension.
Kind of
the tension,
yes.
and you know, if it's in a very emotional scene, the crying and the... because really, it's like, it's the stuff that makes you just go, and that's what you sort of remember about a show, you know. I mean, for A Few Good Men, it was really just that audience journey that I think was half of it. Not only like the amazing cast and crew and everybody who put in.
We had such a good cast for it.
Yeah. And we were all shitbags.
Less shit. Yeah.
That
was a great.
I still love. I think we talked about it with Kyle on, but I still absolutely love the jacket. That was my first official rehearsal, and it was the funniest. There was a scene where Kyle and Sam they're having.
Oh yeah, no, it's the scene we were just talking about.
Yeah,
yeah, it's
where he flicks all the stuff off, and in that rehearsal, Kyle had because you didn't have papers.
No, we didn't have anything.
So Kyle put on his big trench coat that he had, and anyway, Kyle flicked it, and it perfectly. It was like it seamlessly, perfectly opened up and just covered.
Like he whipped it off the desk, like in this moment of rage, you know, and he's just whipped it off the desk,
and it fully opened, and then just encovered Shane. It just
just coated, just enshrouded Shane.
And they tried to keep going on, but then I'm there laughing with a few of the other people.
I reckon we got 4 words further into the script, and then everyone just pissed themselves laughing.
And I just love Shane's reaction. He's like, I was writing notes, and then I thought I died.
Yeah, I thought I'd gone blind. It was... God.
And that was my first real official rehearsal. Like, the rehearsals before that, we did the slight military training. But that was my first one because my character... Well, I played 3 different characters. I played Santiago at the beginning, who I horrified you with my scream.
I really appreciated it, actually.
I just remember you and Carl both being like,
God damn.
It wasn't that hard because Shade said to me, he's like, all right, I just want you to imagine it's the most terrifying thing in your life. I'm like, I don't have to. I'm lying against a wall, hearing this tension music with two strong boys coming to grab me and hold me and throw a rag in my mouth. I don't really have to.
It's pretty well there.
I'm like, I don't have to worry about it.
Terror is pretty
Don't
goddamn
have
real.
to act too hard on this one, I'm in the darkness and then two dudes come and frigging assault me.
And then gaffer tape my arms and legs, which I then had to, in the blackout, try and hop.
Awkwardly hop
off.
out. Yeah, that's right.
And then I played Tom, who was the right hand. I played two characters. And then I played Tom, who was the right hand, and then went on to do the courtroom scene where I have my famous Schweppy line.
Schweppy.
God damn it.
Schweppy.
I hate it still. But it was so interesting because it was just, I wasn't like for me, it was one of my favourite shows where I didn't really have that much to do, but it was just the camaraderie and and it's just, I think also it was one of those turning points for ILT especially, because a lot of people reference that show, and it's one of the shows that most people, if you say ILT to people, they say, "Oh, A Few Good Men."
Yeah, 'cause it's one of those things because it's a big show generally, and so a lot of people were wondering how you could do that on a smaller stage.
Yeah.
Which is,
The
much the same
envision
as
of
39
Shane
Steps as
Mallory.
well.
The envisionment of Shane Mallory.
Just Shane. That's what he does.
When someone says he can't do it, he goes, "Oh."
You watch me. Yeah, and then he does a bloody one-man show with 37 characters in it. And you're like, well, yep, all right.
He just loves challenging himself, I guess.
He does. Do you know what, right? It's not just that he likes challenging himself. I almost feel like he likes challenging that theatre.
Yeah.
Because it's like, I almost feel like he looks at the space, and because I think it's not the largest stage in the world.
No.
It's
There's
7
certainly
meters across and 3.6 meters down.
and so it is, well, and the thing is, the size of that stage is simultaneously a blessing and a curse. Because one thing through all the plays I've done, one thing I have learned to absolutely adore about being on the ILT stage is how close you are to the audience.
Yeah.
Is that intimacy of that theatre. But at the same time, it is a curse in that you've got to be like, well, how do I put this play on in this space?
Yeah.
Well, there's like with A Few Good Men, it was the platforms and the
And the lighting.
And
Yeah.
that's what that's where it sort of comes down with that, is that you let the imagination stretch if you do those sorts of things. And that's what I mean. You can do, like, how many were officially in the cast with that? I think we had 15?
Oh, maybe not quite that many. Hang on. So we had we had the two Marines, the three lawyers. We've got Jessup. We've got
Crispin's character.
The
Doctor.
The Doctor. The bloody Jessup's right-hand man dude.
Me. Me, Chris.
Shane was in it. So anyway, we're at 10. We had Chris. Beck was in it. Now I'm really scared that I'm forgetting someone. That makes me, because I'm like, I don't want to leave one person out. You don't want to get to you don't want to have a list of 10 plus people and then leave one person out at the end like a huge jerk.
I mean, it was between. Yeah, I'd say it was. Think about it, probably even 13. Probably is the best.
Yeah,
guess.
I'm feeling like 12 or 13 people.
And for the ILT stage.
Yeah, admittedly, not everyone.
Everyone was on stage at the same time, but for the courtroom scene, there were
a lot of people on for the courtroom scene. We had pretty much everyone on for that.
So, yeah, it's that's the thing, is you just got to find ways to work with it.
Yeah.
And that's what I think Shane loves more when it comes to directing, is that he likes to do those challenges. Yeah. So now I've briefly mentioned that musical theatre. We've only done really theatre. when we talk about big roles yet again, you can't go past Oklahoma.
Oh yeah.
Where Sam played Curly, which, as Sam can tell you, you were on stage pretty much by yourself for the first few.
Yeah, I opened the show by myself. There is another person on stage, but she's asleep. Like, because it's Aunt Ella, and she's meant to be a bit older, and so she is out churning butter in the morning and basically just falls asleep in a rocking chair, and then I come on and sing "Oh What a Beautiful Morning," which is the opening song, and it was such a good experience because it was my first really big time role. Actually, to be honest, I call that year my big year of theatre because I did. So at the beginning of the year, I did my very first lead role, which I played Charlie Brown in You're a Good Man, Charlie Brown.
Which I've heard went to critical acclaim. I sadly didn't get to see it, but
That's all right. That was a really good show. It was because we were. I don't want to say we were lucky, but because it happened around we did the show kind of as the 2011 floods were dying off, as kind of in the aftermath of that, and so there was a lot of sad news and a lot of dreary stuff going on, and so people kind of saw because we asked the Ipswich Advertiser if we could have an article, and they went, you know what, this is such a beautiful, colourful thing, and they put us on the front page.
Oh yeah.
They actually put an advertisement for our show on the front page of the Advertiser, because they were like, people need to see something that some nice things are happening.
Yeah, gives them hope.
Yeah, right. And so we were actually we were really thankful for that, and because that's the thing, we didn't ask for that. We were just looking for a little bit of acknowledgement somewhere in the bloody back or something, but and they were like, no, bang, big picture of the whole cast on the front page, and there's an article about it, and and then we got good people coming to that, and then a lot of good responses because it was a really fun show. And then after that I did my very first show at ILT, which was 3 one-act plays, and I was in the
oh
final.
My god,
Yeah,
London Suite.
London Suite.
Oh, that play that you were in was one of the first plays that I laughed nearly throughout.
No,
It was just also your character's physicality was just fantastic. I loved especially the scene where you had to crawl to the phone.
Oh yeah, oh man!
The amount of time you crawled to the phone and just in your reach and turned off.
And it stopped ringing just as I get to it. You're just like, ah! No, that was so much fun. And then and then I finished off the year playing Curly in Oklahoma.
That's a huge year.
Yeah, it was a big year.
Especially playing 2 iconic roles like Charlie Brown and
Curly, yeah. And it was the first time I got to work with Jim as well, Jim Moore.
Who is amazing.
Yeah, such a good director. Absolute bastard, but
absolute bastard.
But fantastic director.
If he likes you, he will absolutely hang shit on you.
Oh god, yeah. Which means he must love me because Lord, he's torn strips of leather off me. And then playing Curly was. It's hard to describe because it was so stressful for me at the time because it was a big thing. It was on the Civic Centre stage, which was I know it's not it's no QPAC or it's no it's not the Entertainment Centre or something like that, but
there's still hundreds of people.
Yeah, it's like a few hundred people in there, and that's the beginning of the show. They're like, cool, we'll play a bit of music, and then you've got to go out there and do it. Open the show, thanks.
Oh yeah?
Oh, yeah?
Okay.
All right. And,
Can do.
no, okay.
How was the first night then when you did that the first night?
Oh man, I was packing my bags. Like,
You have to get yourself some Depends.
yeah, right. And, because, that thing, we've done so many rehearsals, and I'd had rehearsals in on the Civic Centre stage, and I knew what I had to do, because that thing I'd started not long after Charlie Brown, because because Charlie Brown was a musical as well, and so and it really stretched, or it really pushed me for my vocal talent at the time. And so I started getting singing lessons because I really wanted to try for something in Oklahoma. Like I was like, no, I want to do well, and I want to get into this show. And I'm like, I don't mind if I get just a bit part, but I want to be a part, you know. Like I don't want to just be chorus, because I've done that. I've done that a few times, and there's nothing wrong with it. It's just that's where I wanted to progress. You know, I've done. Some of the most fun I've had has been chorus in the show, but like I felt that I wanted to progress.
You wanted to push yourself, yeah.
Yeah, and I was like, God, and so I decided that I would audition for Curly, and I'd also audition for Judd, who are the protagonist and antagonist of the show, effectively. I was like, which want one of them, hopefully, but and so yeah, I've been getting singing lessons, and I'd been prepping myself so much, and so the stage setup, right, is we had two major set pieces, which were the house and a barn.
Mm-hmm.
And the barn turned around, and actually so did the house, I think, from memory, because to be slightly different places.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm standing. So at the beginning it's the barn, and so I'm standing behind it, waiting, because then I come out from behind it and start the song. Actually, because I start that was one thing that I really was happy about, is I start singing behind the barn.
Mm.
And so I get into it before I can see the audience.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which helped a lot. And so I'm there, and I'm just waiting, and I'm like, this is like opening night, and I'm like, I'm so stressed and so nervous, you know. And then the music starts, and my cue is a little bit of flute that's meant to be like a bird.
Mm.
And I heard it, and I'm like, okay.
You just gotta go for it now.
I just gotta go for it now, where there's no turning back. And I started, and I went, and I ran out forward on stage, and I do the whole thing, and bloody, like, all the sounds of the earth are like music, and all that sort of bollocks and all that. And then, I finished it, and the last bit is just the, oh, what a beautiful day. And there's just this second of silence, right? And in that second of silence, I've died.
And you're just like, they hated it.
Right? Because, like, no time has passed, right?
Yeah,
like, to an audience, no time has passed at all.
Feels like an eternity.
But for me, having been so on edge and because that's the thing. To me, it's an eternity. To the audience, they haven't even registered that the song's finished.
Yeah. They're waiting for, like, maybe another line or...
Yeah, one more line or something, but, like...
Oh, that's it.
Oh, no, yeah. And that was it. There was this second of silence, and I'm like, I've ruined everything. Oh, God. And then applause, like the whole audience, like really, and I was just like, and I don't think I have ever been so relieved in my life, to have not screwed something up.
Oh man,
yeah. No, that was and then that ended up being such a good show to be a part of, and
just so that you've never felt more relieved. I can just imagine one is like, Mr. Hoepner, your wife has survived the surgery. And you're like, oh, that's good. But man, that applause.
Oh man, that's such a relief. Not as much as a relief as my time in Oklahoma.
I don't have at least 100 people watching me now. So.
Mr. Hoepner, your son has been born healthily and without any complications. Cool. Cool.
All right.
Okay.
Can I go back to watching Oklahoma now?
I guess that's all right. Man.
Now, have you ever
like this?
Have you ever had that sort of experience? Like, did you ever, like, with Held? Was that just before like the first performance? You ever had a moment where you're just like were genuinely thinking you were going to shit yourself or anything like that?
I mean, early on, sure. As time's gone by, I feel like a little better at kind of dealing with those nerves. With Cut being one of the first kind of dramatic pieces that I've ever done, I definitely felt it every single time. But I found the advantage, for me at least, was being able to delve a lot into the psychology of characters and kind of letting my own personal feelings kind of sit in the back, you know what I mean? That's being what I would describe myself as a bit of a stoic. I don't have that kind of emotional range of a lot of people, so I delve into I do a lot of work on the thought processes behind a character, and then in doing so, delve into a lot of the character and how they think. So I kind of just let them take over, which I think is a big aspect of acting. I think everyone approaches it in their own way. So I can't really remember too many times where I was petrified on stage, but always getting that audience reaction afterwards, like I said, that big kind of relief always is. It's what you want, and it's kind of why we do it. Otherwise, there would be no real purpose. I feel,
It's funny you mentioned like your big year. Your big year was what year did you say?
2011.
So my big year it sort of segues into my big year was 2014 because in that year I did my first lead role in Sin, Sex and the CIA, and then we did Held, and then I did I'm Sorry for What I Leave You with that. But with Sin, Sex and the CIA, that was my first lead role, and I was very much in a similar boat the opening night because majority of the play is me. I'm very much a klutz character. I'm falling over. I had to do a lot of physical comedy for that, and had to learn how to take bumps. That was my
take falls. Yeah.
I had to learn how to actively look like I fell straight on my face without hurting myself.
Yeah.
And it took a long time to get out of that. But the play opened with me actually breaking into the thing, so I had to climb through a window, and then in character I had to be like, yeah, and then fall on the couch like an idiot. And I remember I was sitting, and the secret agent man was playing, and I'm sitting backstage, and I'm near the window, and I'm like, all right, I'm about to go on stage, and it's just that moment where it's like, this is it. I can't do anything. What am I going to do? And I'm like, so all right, and we practiced it a million times, but for some bizarre reason, I get up to the top of the window, and I'm like, yep, cool. And I go to do my trip to land on the couch. I miscalculated my trip and hit my head on the couch. And it was that moment where the audience were like, oh, and they laughed. And I was like, you know what? I'm just going to have to go with that because I'm like, you know what? It's just, that's the best way to be like, yeah, you fretted about something for too long. There you go.
No, absolutely.
And then from there on in, I never had a problem. So...
Actually, sorry, now that you bring that up, for Held, the time where I accidentally hurt Courtney, when she hurt herself on me.
Yeah, that's right.
I think that was probably one of those points where I had to be like, oh, shit, and that was in the back of my head, like, oh, God, she's hurt herself. Oh no. But, you've got to keep going. Man, theatre, it can be brutal. I've read some horror stories of people saying, like, it's worse than sport. In sport you expect to get hurt. In theatre, you don't, but you have to keep going regardless, no matter what. Because you've got a paying audience, if they're disappointed, they're not going to come back, and your theatre itself is going to lose a lot of money and no won't be open anymore.
So, I think we will get ready to sum this up, because, we're running out of time.
We're running out of iPad storage space.
Shh! Don't let them know that we did that. We've edited it seamlessly. Probably not.
Who knows?
So...
Edited 30 minutes of...
That could be the outro music right there.
It could be. So I guess I'll leave this with you guys. We barely even scratched the surface with you, because there's even other shows like Danny Girl,
Danny Girl.
which I absolutely loved. and I hate you at the same time. I hate you so much.
It's precisely what I went for, yeah.
Yeah. But I guess what I'll leave you guys is, because you both have done so much in your own rights, what are you guys sort of wanting to do now? Because you mentioned before, you, Sam, mentioned that you pushed yourself to do Oklahoma and that. With you guys doing both those same things, what do you... I'll start with you first, Sam. What is going into the future? What is something that you're really wanting to do for yourself?
Well, the main thing that I'm looking to do now, as far as progressing through, progressing through where, I suppose where there is to progress is, I'm looking into actually being in the director's chair. I've helped out now, I've had a bit of a taste in a sense, seen what's involved, and now I'm, looking to really take part in that actively myself. Because next year I'm going to be assistant directing The Lion in Winter with David Austin.
Oh, yeah.
And then after that, currently the plan after that is I'm thinking of, then after I do that, I'm going to spend some time looking at stuff that I'd want to do, and then maybe presenting a play to selection in 2020. But it's and then with the thoughts that are in 2019, I'll either assistant direct again maybe, or I'll actually be in something, because I actually haven't been in a show in a little while now.
I think the last thing you did was Eurobeat. Is that right?
Let's not include that on my friggin' CV.
For the 2 minutes you were on stage?
Yeah, God, 2 minutes too long. What? No.
Putting it together?
No, I think the last proper play I did was Final Test.
Yeah, which is also another great play.
Yeah, that was good fun too. That's really where I'm looking forward now. I'm looking to make my way into the directing side of things.
Yeah, excellent. What about you, Cody?
Well, I've been writing a one-act play that I want to do for the festivals next year, and I'm hoping to get finished. Definitely hoping to get finished. I kind of need to get it finished because some of the people who I want to have in it are looking forward to it. So, in that, and then in the future, I think having done Cosy, I've kind of fallen in love with the play a little bit, and I want to play all the male roles at some point in my life.
Fair enough.
Yeah, kind of just as one of those little goals. As I get older and older, I can get into those parts. Yeah.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah, that makes sense. There's some good roles in that show.
Yes, there are. All right. Well, I think what we'll do is we'll wrap it up. Do you guys have any messages you want to send out to the people?
To quote Love Actually, kids, don't buy drugs. Become a rock star and they'll give them to you for free.
Yeah, I got nothing. That's great advice.
Yeah, no, that is great advice. Or just become an actor, because, your self-confidence and narcissism really will conflict the whole time.
No amount of cocaine can ever compare to the applause of an appreciative audience.
Even if they're three people.
Maybe a little bit of cocaine, maybe.
Just a smidge. Have a great Christmas, everybody, and we will see you in the new year. Bye!